Yo, G-Man from the G Show. Let's talk about life and what we know. You wanna have a seat with the top dog? Be ready to get down with the real talk. All jokes aside, welcome to the G-Man Show.
Ben.
Yes, sir.
Dude, I'm gonna be straightforward. Who the fuck comes 1 hour late to an interview? Who?
Don't pretend you weren't mad when I showed up.
Dude, I fucking started calling you from 10:30. I looked at your Instagram. I'm like, this guy is partying from last night in Oshawa. You had a gig in Oshawa.
Yeah.
I'm like, if this fucking guy doesn't show up, I'm gonna make my calls. I'm gonna go to his house. I'm gonna fucking do an interview right there, man. While
That's
he's fucking
very nice
sleeping.
of you. I would have preferred that.
Cheers, man. Thanks for
cheers.
Cheers for actually showing up, man.
This is great. Thanks for having me. I just slept in. This is why I didn't like university. I just did you go to university?
No, man, I'm a high school dropout, man.
Yeah, so you know what it's like.
Yeah, I do. All the excuses that you gave me, I used them all of them, man. Dude,
yeah, we did have a fire alarm. The fire alarm didn't go off. It was just dead, and it was making that one little, when it's dead and it makes the noise where it's like, and then my dog starts panting and going, and then it's like on my face, and that was at like 2 a.m., so that's why I was late.
What kind of dog you got?
I have 2 Shih Tzus.
2 Shih Tzus?
Yeah. That's very appropriate for this area. I feel like a lot of people have Shih Tzus here.
Yeah, you're a big guy. You're supposed to have like a Rottweiler or a fucking pit bull, man.
No, I feel like, I don't know, like that's, if I had a small dick, then I would get a big dog. Does that make any sense?
I don't
know what I mean? Like, you know how women have big dogs because they're like, I want to have like a husky. Like, it's like, I don't need that fucking crazy ass dog around. I need 2 little shitty fucking shits.
How do you date a woman who has a big fucking dog? Like, I
never have.
I met a girl. She had a Rottweiler. I'm like, I'm not going over to your house. No fucking way.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
And they only talk about their dogs. Like,
my girlfriend has a small dog, which is fine. It's scary, but it's like they're all girls' dogs are scary. They all bite and they all
protective.
They all piss in the
they all shed.
Yeah, there's some fucked up, but she has a small dog. I like her dog. We did like a little power thing where now that her dog knows that I don't fuck around. I didn't like beat it or anything. I just like yell, because girl dogs don't get yelled at, right? They just get, stop it, don't do that, why are you doing? So the dog just thinks they're doing the right thing at all times. But until you step in, you're like, no, fucking no. And then the dog's like, holy shit, like I've never heard that. I'm 8.
Dude, you've been doing comedy for how long, man?
11 years.
11 years, huh? I started hearing about you through COVID. People were sending me your reels.
Through the COVID app?
It was
Alert! Go watch Ben Bankas talk shit about Theresa Tam.
Dude, those videos. Well, how many of them went viral? I think that the one that you did when she's speaking. What was it about? The sex while you're having mask on. Yeah,
I mean, you know what's funny about those videos? None of them technically went viral because I think viral is over 500,000 views. So a lot of them have like 100,000. There's a few that have like 200,000 on Facebook and stuff like that. But there's a lot of them. Like, I made a lot of those Theresa Tam videos just because in the pandemic, I was like pissed off at her. I was watching TV just going, this is insane what they're telling me right now, that we can't do this, we can't do that. And this woman's just the head of it. So I started making fun of her. At first I was like, I don't know, should I? I sent it to somebody and they were like, don't post this. This is too fucked up. It was like the first video I did was where she was like talking about wear a mask for sex, I think was like the first video or something.
But the whole thing was just fucking ridiculous. Like, honestly, like.
But people latched onto it. They liked the Theresa Tam videos, so I kept making them. But what's cool is my most viewed videos still on Instagram at least are stand-up. So my stand-up still, even though a lot of people are like, Theresa Tam, but then they're like, oh shit, this guy's been doing, I did stand-up for way longer than I made videos like that. I just kind of started doing that out of fucking necessity, boredom, and being like, yo, I got to get my people have to nowadays, especially in Canada, you got to do something else to draw people in. It's the same in the States. You got to have, okay, he got famous or popular from these videos, but like when you came to see his stand up, you're like, holy shit, this guy's incredible. Because that's what I'm striving for the stand up to take over. I don't want to make I can't make videos about Therese forever. I can make fun of other people too, but
well, we have a lot to talk about. But do you think comedy is much different now with all the restriction, with all the cancel culture? Do you think I feel like a lot of comedians are holding back on saying jokes about certain like genders and
yeah. I mean, of course it's different, but it's also not, in the sense that it'll never like making people laugh will never really change.
But everybody is so sensitive now.
They are and they aren't, and it depends on the crowd. Like I'll do a crowd where I say one thing and then they're like, "Oh my god." And usually I can like kind of make fun of them to the point where they realize that they're just being stupid, because it's like, this is adult entertainment. We're adults. You're going out for a night to listen to a comedian talk, and it's uncensored and it's live. Like last night in Oshawa, it's live. You get what you get. So people are never going to stop going to that and laughing. They might be offended. Some people might walk out and shit like that, but it's always been like that. The bigger issue is like the online like what was your opinion on something. I don't think it's as much about the jokes as people get offended about like what your actual opinions are.
But you also get really canceled on social media now. Now they just restrict pretty much a lot of jokes that have sensitive topics.
Social media for sure. Like, YouTube, I feel like you can kind of get away with saying crazier shit than Instagram, because that's just how it is. I don't know if they assume more adults are on YouTube or whatever it is, but you have to be creative about it. You have to still figure out a way to be funny, bleep out the word if it's, about the jab or something, you want to bleep it out or whatever. There's ways around it.
Are you vaxxed?
I don't publicly tell people my medical history or whatever some lawyer told me to say.
What do you think about the whole thing anyways?
Well, it's not good. It's not good at all. And I think I'm talking about this joke. I don't know if I want to expose the joke, but I've been doing this joke recently where I'm saying that, I think that people should have the right to get an abortion, right? And people will clap, usually, some people. And then I'll be like, but I'm also against the vaccine mandates. And then it'll be like a totally separate group of people that start clapping. And then I kind of explain to the audience that both sides, like, we think we're living in two countries right now. Like, we're trying to be convinced that we're living in two countries. One that's conservative, one that's liberal. In the States, it's the same thing with the Republicans and the Democrats. When in reality, those two sides are still running the country and working together, even when they tell us and act like they just hate each other and, we're so divided, or divided. But they're still fucking us at the same time. They're still both trying to fuck us. No matter, like, that's just what they're going to do. Even Pierre Poilievre, okay, yeah, he's a cool guy, but whatever. But the government's still going to try to fuck you somehow. Or, you might get an advantage and then somebody else gets fucked. So with the abortion thing in the States, it's like you let the government impose these mandates for vaccines, and then now you're surprised that they have overturned Roe versus Wade. And the people who were against, who were for vaccine mandates are against the Roe versus Wade thing. But they were standing at the get your vaccine. It's not about you. You have to follow the rule. And then the government makes a decision they don't like. And they're like, what the fuck? It's like you guys allowed that to happen. If the left had said, fuck vaccine mandates too, we're with these guys, Roe versus Wade would not have gotten overturned because the government would have been like, yo, we probably wouldn't get away with this. But they know they're going to get away with shit with half the population at all times. That's what the government's banking on, that half were divided down the middle, so either side can get some crazy shit through.
But now Trudeau is telling all the Americans, you guys can come and do whatever you want in Canada.
What, to get an abortion? Who cares? Why not?
I mean, I believe your body, your choice.
Right.
Same thing.
No matter what.
Same thing with vaccination. I believe you can do whatever.
I don't think it's good. I think what's wrong with the left is kind of like being like those women with the signs like, I've had 47 abortions and you're like, okay, that's bad. Like, that's fucked up. Like, where nobody's saying that it's a good choice or it's an easy choice or it's a fun choice. It's like, should you have the right to do it? Yeah, like, you should have the right to fucking cut your eyeball out if you fucking want to, I guess. I mean, there's those people, the transabled. I was talking about that on my podcast, the people who want to be disabled. So they do crazy shit. Like, some guy, it was like a story, and he like purposely, he worked at some warehouse, and he purposely dropped some shit on his arm so he could have one arm. That's how crazy some people are. But now we're supposed to be like, well, it's just who they think they are. It's like, no. But that's kind of a different topic. Like, in terms of that stuff, in terms of what's going on, I think it's obvious that both sides will take advantage, and I think the people just need to come together a bit more. Stop being sensitive is like the people who are on the left who are just sensitive about everything. Like, you're not helping the situation, because if you're just sensitive, you're always reacting to everything. You're not doing anything. You're not making anything. You're not thinking. You're just going, what happened today? This? Oh, I'm angry. You know, what's your benefit to society then? It's really not much. And it's the same with the people on the right who read something, a left-wing article, and just go, this is a fucking... And, you know, I talk about a lot of that shit on my podcast because I know... But, you know, my podcast is constantly changing, and I like reading these articles and having some sort of unique opinion on them. But I think what's crazy is that we're just talking too much about everything right now. Like, everything gets this, you know, every little... Like when we were kids, being gay, it's like, okay, we knew it was a thing, you know, we made jokes, whatever. I have friends that are gay, never was like, I'm not gonna be your friend or some crazy shit. You know, I don't think we really grew up hating anybody. Like, I grew up, there was lots of gays in movies and shit that we watched, and there was same with when the BLM thing happened, and a lot of these young kids who are probably in high school and early university are like, oh my god, it was just so racist before. And it's like, all my idols are black. Literally, every show that I watch, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, fucking, you know, I mean, South Park was white guys, but other than that, it was pretty much, you know, Rush Hour 3, Rush Hour 2. You know, I'm just saying that we kind of grew up in a society that assumed we were all okay with each other and was just going along with it. And even when people made fun and shit like that, but it's like, yeah, you have the right, I think people have the right to be whoever they want and be, you know, if you want to be trans and all this shit, I think you have the right to. But, I also have the right to fucking make fun of it in a free country. You're telling me, just like anything else. Just if your job choice, my friend works at Egg Smart, I make fun of him because I'm like, you work at fucking Egg Smart, bro.
What's about working at fucking Egg Smart?
Right. It's not that bad, but I'm just like, yo, egg farts. And it's just Egg Smart. You know, I just joke about it. He knows it's funny. He's not offended. But you know what I mean? You have the right to make fun of whatever. Obviously, if it's in a hateful, mean way, that's not great. But, you know, I think people are just angry right now about a lot of that shit. They're angry that... their kids are learning weird shit at school.
Well, that's the biggest issue. My problem, if you're older than 18 years old, you can do anything you want. But preaching and explaining things to young children who haven't yet made their mind on what they are and what they want to be in life, you know, pushing certain agendas on them, I'm absolutely against that. I think a person, when he reaches a certain age, he should make his own determination what he wants to do, who he wants to fuck, who he wants to live with. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Anything before that, creating a system around it, an educational system. I don't know. You can make it if it's in a friendly way. Explanation that being gay is okay, you know, being transgender is okay. It's okay. You know, you can.
No friendly.
But if you're telling that it's okay to try it, and see the differences between.
Right.
That's for me.
I don't even know if they're teaching that. I mean,
Well,
I just think
that's in a way implementing, right? Because
they're just doing this thing. Like I agree with part of what you said, where it's like there should be, some explanation at some point. Like I remember we were in puberty class, which was like we had puberty class. Do you remember that?
Of course.
That was like grade 6. That was grade 6. That was the first time. That was like we knew our teacher your whole life, and you're like, this bitch sucks. And then all of a sudden she's like, let's talk about anal. You know what I mean? So we did do that kind of like, and it was, the parents weren't there, and they just assumed puberty class or learning that they're growing older and whatever. They didn't give a shit.
Yeah, but we were different.
Right, but it was more like, but we had a box, and kids would put questions in the box, and then the teacher would have to pull out the fucking thing, and they were like, what is anal? Like, literally, those were the questions. Like, grade 6s were, like, hilarious. We're all hilarious. And the teacher's like, somebody asked, can you get pregnant from anal? And the teacher goes, well, if it fucking drips out of your ass and goes into your pussy, then yeah, like, she didn't say ass and pussy, but she was like, if it drips out and goes up into the vagina, I'm like, and that fucked me up. Like, as a kid, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you can't even fuck a bitch in the ass. But, like, the point is that we did do some shit like that. And, like, I don't really even know what the difference is. The difference is now is it's like, I think in grade, like, 1 and shit, they're being like, what do you identify as? Like, what the fuck? Like, let the kid think about it for a bit. Like, I don't even know. Like, you're like, I don't want, after 18, you can do what I want, obviously, or what you want, I guess, which, is true. But kids, kids are going to be gay if they're gay, you know what I mean? Like, a 15-year-old could be gay.
Absolutely. But what if you're not? And then they're saying that it's okay in a way to try it and see.
I don't know about try it. I mean, if they're like, yo, try being gay for a week. Here's your homework.
It's not about
fucking dude.
They don't tell you this.
That's not good. But
they don't go and tell you this directly. But what they do is that they say, listen, it's okay to try it.
Right.
Because they're not going to say it's not okay. It's okay to try it. And then what happens is, let's say kids do try it, and maybe you're not gay, and maybe you like it.
Right.
So you kind of like, so you kind of.
Spoken by a man who swear to God he's never sucked a dick. Maybe that one time when we were in Kharkiv.
Who is your comic of choice? Who do you have an idol? Do you have somebody who you looked up to?
I don't know. I go through phases. Richard Pryor is pretty big, and then obviously just like that, like lineage, like Eddie Murphy,
stand up on the movie.
Stand up. Like obviously, I love Louis C.K. I love Bill Burr, and was into those guys at certain points more than, But like I like going. I like circle around. So I think it's important to be a student of comedy. You just have to learn everything as much as you can. And the more you know about comedy, the less you are like, I have one idol. Like I used to say Patrice O'Neal. Patrice O'Neal is like definitely like my top 5 or 3 even. And he's dope as fuck. So I like the comics that don't give a fuck, that really just don't give a fuck, and they go up and they just have, big old balls, and they just fucking say whatever the fuck they want. And the audience, they bring the audience into their universe. They're not just sitting there trying to like make their fucking audience laugh, kind of thing.
As long as they don't make bad movies. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm a huge fan of Kevin Hart.
You smoking here?
No. We can take a break in about half an hour. You came so fucking late, I ain't giving you time to smoke. No. We gotta.
I don't want to go on a smoke break. Smoke break. You have a vape?
I think I had a vape, but I fucking left it at home.
Oh, shit. No.
So, what I was saying is that I'm a huge fan of Kevin Hart, but I have a problem with Kevin Hart. I can't stand his movies. I just think he's a shitty actor, but anything he does off camera, like the jokes around that he did with The Rock and his stand-up is phenomenal. But when it comes to movies, it's just bad. Did you see The Man from Toronto?
No.
Horrible. Like, horrible.
But the thing is, for him, it's like he's just like cashing checks. You know what I mean? And he knows they're shit movies.
So bad.
And I wouldn't say he's like a terrible actor, but I'd say that he's just, you know, he's a pro at what he's a professional at making those types of movies. You know what I mean? And it's like, once you get to a certain level, I think, where you're making that much money, you just go, yeah, like, every single good comedian and every single good or like super successful actor has done shitty movies.
Yeah, but here's like I don't know a single movie that I like with Kevin Hart. Stand up, I watched all of them. All
he
the
was
specials.
good in. He was really funny in 30-Year-Old Virgin. He played like a small character that walks into the store that they work at where they sell.
I don't remember that movie, man. I mean, I remember, but I don't remember him in that movie.
That was like his first kind of like big role, and he had this whole thing where he talked shit to the other black guy and blah blah blah. He was like trying to buy a stereo, and then they almost got in a fight. He is funny as fuck. It's just like, yo, like he's almost like he's like it's for kids. Those movies are for kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like there's a market in that. So I'll never say like, oh, I don't think he's a good actor, because it's like he knows what he's doing. He knows where this movie's going, who's gonna, you know, pay for it. It's kids. Fucking Ice Cube used to do that shit. Ice Cube was in fucking.
Come on, come on, man.
Ice Cube's a good actor.
Friday, I think he's amazing in both.
But he also did shit movies later. Like he did Ice Cube. You know how many children's movies?
Friday After Next. I like that. He has.
No, you know those children's movies that Ice Cube's done, where he's like fucking. It's like he's, you know, fucking some guy's baby mama or something. No, it's not that. No, he's like, he's like with some woman who has kids, and he has to like meet her there. And then,
oh yeah, that was funny though.
Yeah,
but with him, because he's not trying to be funny,
right?
Because he's a gangster, man. The guy,
he's cool. He's cooler than Kevin Hart, for sure.
Yeah,
in terms of just being a cool guy.
Yeah, him trying to pursue the role of this funny guy is already funny. Mm-hmm. With Kevin Hart, is just his jokes don't match the character when he does stand up. Like it feels like it's written for him, but it's just like
well, a lot of those guys have writers, dude. Like they have like Wanda Sykes and, you know, a lot of other comics that write their shit, and like even Richard Pryor had, you know, Paul Mooney was one of his writers. Chris Rock has, I think, Wanda Sykes and a few other comics that write for him. Chris Rock. So some you know, like I said, you get to this level where you're just like, yo, I'm worth 200 mil. Like, write me some fucking jokes. Like, I'm tired. You know what I mean? Like, I already made myself famous on my shit. Not to say that I would want to do that, and I think, like, certain comics don't. Like, I think Louis C.K. writes his own shit. And, but it's a different, almost genre of comedy. It's a different type of people that are going. Like, sometimes the people that are going to Chris Rock might not be, like, hardcore comedy fans, you know? They're just people who are like, Chris Rock's in town.
But he's funny as fuck.
He's funny as fuck. I went to see him in Toronto.
Yeah, he is funny as fuck. But the whole situation with Will Smith is that's bullshit, man. Did you make any jokes about it?
Kind of. I mean, like, everybody talked about it. I think it's kind of done. I think the funniest joke that I heard about it was basically saying, like, what? Who? Yeah, so that whole thing is just...
I think it was staged.
And the only upsetting thing is when I went to see Chris Rock, he didn't talk more about it, but I can kind of see why, because he was just like, fuck off. Like,
you don't think it was staged?
No. I think it was just, it looks staged because they're fucking actors, dude.
Plus, on top of their friends for quite a while.
I mean, the guy got fired from like a lot of shit. Like,
I think it was staged. I think it was staged. It went out of order. I just didn't think it would take it so far. I mean, there's no way. I mean, on the level of Oscars, not to see that coming, put this guy in the front row. I mean, it just looked very. There are professional actors, man. I think it just went so overboard. They can't come back and say.
Chris Rock made a funny joke about it. He was like, people are like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I got hit by a well-lotioned hand." Like, he's like, well, "It's worth like 250 million." You know what I mean? Like,
plus it was a slap. What are you, drunk already?
Oh, because I hit that. Why do you even have this? Does this make any difference? No. I just had an impulse buy. I was like, I'm going to get this for that.
So you don't spit on that. on the mic.
Ridiculous. Oh yeah, this is now you care
Dude,
about COVID.
It'll look. Yeah, listen. Well, that's what we have in the social distancing. Half of 6 feet.
Dude, I love this area. I just feel like I'm so close to the best, like, cream cheese bagel with lox that I've ever had. Like, it's probably blocks from here.
What a bagel.
We got to do it after.
Well, you live downtown. You don't have any of that.
Well, yeah, there's nothing. No, there's like a couple places. There's What a Bagel downtown.
Is it?
Yeah, but it's like
this is like
not close.
The Jewish area.
Yeah, I love it. I love the Jews. Celebrate the Jews.
I don't see you making fun of the Jews that much. Why? Because
I make fun of Jews in my act.
Dude, you make fun of everybody, and how many times I message you? I'm like, dude, you're going too far. I mean, I think it's fucking funny. I mean, you make fun of the Ukrainians, of the Russians. I'm like, shit, you haven't got your ass kicked yet?
Yeah, I mean, well, I have definitely had people like get angry, but not really. Like, people know that it's, for the most part, people go to a comedy show and they know what they're getting into. Or it's like you're following a comedian. Why are you upset about the comedians making jokes you don't like? I mean, it's ridiculous that you care. There's tons of comedians making jokes I don't like. And I even find myself sometimes, like when the, Now Magazine or, CBC posts or Globe and Mail, here's an article about this comedian and I know who they are and they suck, but they're just getting a lot of recognition because they're perfectly woke in some sort of way that I guess I'm not. They're gay and they're this and they're that, whatever. And I mean, I'll find myself like typing out like a comment that I don't write. I'll be like, I don't care. I'd rather save the article, put it in my folder of articles, and then I will
fuck it up for 10 years.
I'll just talk about it on my like Patreon podcast. You know what I mean? Like talk about it to my actual audience who actually wants to listen to me. Like I won't. Like that's why my Patreon's kind of cool. Is like I have like over 60 bonus episodes of my podcast on Patreon, and you can go on there and like we just talk straight shit pretty much that we wouldn't on the free podcast. So
it's a big difference. I don't know anything about it.
Well, if you listen to my podcast regularly, then the Patreon's like almost like a different version of it, where it's like me and my friends just like actually having fun versus me just talking about, which my podcast used to be that, and then it became kind of news based, and now I'm kind of moving away from necessarily having it all be about certain news articles. But there's just so many news articles right now.
Yeah.
And so many of them don't even, like, it's almost like they're fake. They really are fake in the sense that it's just content. Like they're just putting up content and nobody's sifting through it or even reading it. So when you read it, you're like, this is crazy that they actually fucking wrote this article about like this 17-year-old doesn't have the ability to cut off their dick and what are we going to do about it? And like some reporter actually goes to this person's house and you're like, what the fuck is, what is this? Like there's so many worse things going, like real stories. Like why aren't you at the house of like the most recent like shooting victim, who by the way is probably black, and so you're not talking to them, you're talking to some white girl in Nova Scotia's family because she's crying because she can't fucking sew her pussy up. And then there's like actual families of like the woke people say minority groups, like there's their words, not mine, minority groups, but where are the stories about that? There's crazy shit going on in the city all the time, but the reporters are too fucking scared to even get involved and go learn about what's going on with the gangs. Let's do a report on what's going on with the fucking the carjacking or any other horrible thing that's going on in the city, kidnappings, this, that. No, let's talk about this girl who lives in the suburbs and her mom is really worried because she doesn't, she wants to change genders. That's why it's upsetting. Not just because I'm like a bigot and I'm like, yo, fucking, I don't want to hear about this shit. It's more like there's other more important shit. Like this is what the left says. Like, oh, what about the indigenous BIPOC community? Yeah, what about them? Show me a fucking story on that.
They're not going to get to that. No.
They never really do the news story on it. They just do they'll do little it's very fucked up. That's why I think woke culture is inherently racist. Because I almost feel like 10 years ago we talked more about natives and black people and shit, and like, you know, and now it's like we actually use this language again where we're like blacks and BIPOC and this and that. Like, this is like, that's like older language, I think, than what we were before, where we were all just people and we're like, I thought that we were just celebrating it all, but apparently now it's better. And I think the government is, you know, and I could be wrong, but I think they kind of trick people who are not white into going along with the woke ideology, because they just go, look, it's going to be good for you. It's going to be good for you. We're going to make sure there's these quotas for you to not, every company's going to have quotas, and the government's going to have quotas of how many of you we're going to hire. And so they trick these people into not speaking up, when a lot of people who aren't white would be like, hello, this is fucked up. I don't like this. But they're like, I think it's fucked up, but also, like, now I have a better job. So why would they fucking speak out? So then white people speak out, and then they get called racist. So it's like it's kind of a fucked up, we're kind of circling the toilet here.
Have you been called racist? You made some jokes about Asians.
Millions.
How do you react to that? I mean, you obviously, as a comedian, you hide behind it's a comedy.
Yeah.
But, you know, some people can really take it. I mean, I find this stuff funny because I like dark
there's
humor.
There's definitely some of those videos that are more racist than others. And, you know, I think, like, I'm not a racist person in the sense that I don't discriminate people, like, based on their race. I discriminate them on how they act and how cool they are and shit like that. And then, you know, make fun of them however I need to. And I definitely believe that stereotypes exist and they're funny. So I think it has to do with, if it's funny, it's funny, whether it's racist or not, or somebody's going to call it racist or not. If it's funny, it's funny. But yeah, I mean, I've did so many of those Theresa Tam videos. Sometimes I was like really pissed off when she was just being like, you can't leave your house for a long time. But a lot of people, I think people who know me are like, he's not racist, he's just an asshole, and, you know, not really an asshole, but like willing to go there. He's himself, you know. We're not all just these virtuous, perfect people that walk around going, I can't say a thing, and fuck knows what those people are doing, you know, behind closed doors. But I just try to be myself, honestly. And I have friends of every race, so I never really think of it like, oh, I'm like a racist. It's not like I'm, in some majority white area. Like, I grew up around everybody, so I don't.
Before posting a joke, do you send it to your friends? Be like, hey, listen, does this sound racist?
Sometimes, not usually racist. No, I'll be like, does this sound racist? More like, is this too fucked up? Like, you know, like if somebody was be like, Ben's racist, and I'd be like, why? And they'd be like, well, he posted a white square on BLM, which was true. I did, but I did it because I thought it was funny, not because I was like, white power. You know what I mean? I was just like, everybody's being so serious today, being like, black square, we have to do it. And so I posted the white one. It's funny.
To you. A lot of people can take it offensively.
Right.
To you.
But a lot of people messaged me and were like, this is literally the funniest thing I've ever seen. I've never laughed this hard in my goddamn life. Because it was the day that everybody was doing it, right? Posting the black. So people were like, this is so fucking funny. Obviously, there were people being like, what the fuck? But like, yeah, I'm joking. I'm chaos in the universe. Comedy is chaos. Comedy is, linear, and then, it's the heartbeat of life as a human being, that you laugh. Plus, imagine you did everything else, but you don't laugh. And a lot of people go through life like that. They don't laugh at anything. They don't find anything fucking funny. Except maybe like, a banana, slip on a banana peel, maybe they would laugh. So, yeah.
I think that we need more laughter in life, because with all the shit that is happening around the world, we need more and more good comedians. I just found there's not a lot of good comedians in Canada. I honestly, my honest opinion, I think that a lot of
part of it's
clubs
because
are too old.
Part of it because they don't pay people like really properly.
Are you doing this full time? You doing it full time?
Yeah.
Do you get how much you get paid for a show?
On the low end, like 200, maybe 150, and then the high end like 1,000 probably. Yeah.
So the more, I mean, I guess the better. But look, what I'm trying to say is that a lot of these clubs, they just don't look somewhere where you want to go, and
right. And then you go and the comedy's like not that great, and but the thing is, sometimes they go and it is really good. Like they go and see me, and then it's like, holy shit, I actually like comedy again, or whatever. They go see somebody and they're like, I actually like comedy again. So it's just about that. If you want to make it in Canada, you got to make it in the U.S. and then come back here and do all the theaters or do all the fucking stadiums or whatever. You can't really break through because Canadians are cheap and they have no fucking pride in people that our country. It's not like in America, we're like, you're Canadian, you're here in America trying to make, that's amazing, man. Because then they're like, I'm proud that you have to come to my country to become something, right? Whereas here, it's just like, leave. Like, no. Last night I'm standing outside of Yuck Yucks. I got like 4 applause breaks, and I'm selling T-shirts, and they're like, I sold 2 T-shirts because people are just like, I'm like, you guys want to support me T-shirt? They're like, you were fucking hilarious, but no.
How much are your T-shirts?
$25.
The fuck? Of course they're not gonna buy. Who the fuck is gonna buy a T-shirt for
$25 is like $17 US. Like, are you kidding me? It's not that much money anymore.
I buy
with inflation.
shirts at H&M for $12.99. Why the fuck am I gonna buy a shirt for
$12.99? So yeah, okay, yeah. First of all, it looks like shit. Second of all,
fucking 100% cotton, okay?
No, but I'm saying
yours looks like shit.
I know. Well, this is champs. But
did you bring me a shirt?
No.
Like,
yes, I have shirts in my car.
You're gonna give it to me. I ain't paying $25 for that.
No, I'm not gonna make you pay. But $25 to support a comic and buy a shirt. I do 2 for $40. So if you get 2, you get 4.
What a Jew.
But like, what the fuck? Why not? Why not? Well, how much if you go to a baseball game and you want to buy a T-shirt of the Blue Jays? That's like fucking $40. You want to go to any comedian, buy their merch online? It's like $30 US plus shipping. Like, people in the US sell shirts for $30 US after shows. I'm selling it for $25 Canadian. It's nothing. It's like less than $20 US.
Look, my personal opinion about,
and I think that it's good to value yourself. Like, I know comics that do fucked up shit. Like, they bring pins. They try to sell pins for $2. Like, you want to buy a pin? Nobody buys a pin. People buy. Sometimes I sell 5-10 shirts after a show. Like, honestly.
What kind of shirt is that, anyways?
T-shirt has my logo on it.
$25.
$25.
Okay.
What, are you like Jewing out right now that you wouldn't buy a T-shirt?
I'm just calculating my mind.
Like, but you're proving my point. Like, this is Canada.
Bro, I wouldn't do it in the fucking States. I mean, unless it's Chris Rock or
but exactly. But
look,
if I was in the States and people are like, how much are your shirts? I'd be like, $25 US. I'd be like, yeah, here. Like, they don't care. They're cool about money movement in the States, even though people don't all have money, but they're like, oh, I want to give this guy money because it was good, because that's their thinking. Whereas Canada goes, I already gave money to the comedy club and blah blah blah, and even though you're only getting paid $125 a show, I'm not going to buy a T-shirt because I spent $40 on drinks. Like, it's people being cheap.
I have to disagree with you. Explain to you why. I don't think Canadians are cheap at all. I think they're very generous in general. I think the crowd. One second.
They're cheap with art.
No. They're not cheap, bro. Are you kidding me? They're spending fucking $500-$600 to go to a show. They go to that what do you call it? Van Gogh, the show.
Is Van Gogh Canadian?
Yeah, but it's run by Canadian.
Is Chris Rock Canadian? Is any of the fucking Canadian? No.
Listen,
they do not support.
Here's the problem.
Canadians in Canada.
The people that show up to the show, the people that the venue caters to, could be possibility of being cheap. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem with Canadian comedy places, venues, is that
that's true.
The places look like shit. You know, I look some of the stuff online. I'm like, what the fuck? I would not go there with my girlfriend. You know what I mean? I would not go there with my friends. They just look like shit. Have you seen the Russian Comedy Club? Have you seen the way it looks?
What, in Russia?
Yeah. Have you seen the way, just the venue, the way it looks?
Have I seen Russian comedy clubs? No.
Take a look online. I know you won't understand anything, but just take a look just the way it looks. This is full-scale fucking production. And we talk about thousands.
Well, they have that in the States,
thousands to get in. Thousands to get in. They think these artists care about $25 shirts? No, they get paid thousands. Why? Because the venue created around them. First of all, they pay well the artists, but they also concentrate on having great clientele. The ones who don't care about $25 shirt, you're not even going to sell it to them.
Right.
They're going to come and spend $1,000 per person to sit on a table. The problem is the way it's done in Canada is incorrect.
But that's like, then you're just doing comedy for fucking rich people.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not?
You're selling shirts for $25.
Rich people aren't going to fucking laugh at certain shit. They're going to be like, I paid $1,000. I demand that he say this and that. And if he doesn't say what I like.
What are you talking about, man?
Well, in Russia, you could go to jail for doing comedy, first of all. If you say fuck Putin, you're fucking going to jail.
Before the war, I think probably not. But you don't really.
Maybe.
Listen, it's different kind of country, man. But we're talking about you don't
but
have.
I'm just saying,
you don't
in
have
Canada, the people who understand, you could say to them, look, I'm making $125 tonight. You spent $60. You have money to spend, but you don't want to buy a shirt because you don't care that I'm Canadian. That's what I'm saying, is we don't have a respect. In Russia, at least, they go, this is a Russian guy, he's from Moscow, he's amazing, it's Russia. There's a pride of, we're going to elevate this guy. I want to pay $1,000 to see this guy. He's this talented Russian, and we're Russian. And we don't have that. We have, are you American? No, you're Canadian? You suck. That's what we have. And that's why you have to leave. Here,
I mean, if you're talking only about comedians, maybe. But if you're talking about Canadian artists, I mean, what are you talking about? Drake.
Drake, where? Oh, yeah, did Drake make it big in Canada?
Yeah, he's the biggest one in Canada and in the world. What do you mean? Come on, man. Justin Bieber?
If no Americans had latched on to Justin Bieber or Drake, they would never have made it.
Well, Drake.
Lil Wayne is American. He was the one who stamp of approval brought him to the States. He lived in Atlanta for a long time, for a bunch of years, and made a bunch of records with fucking the guy from 40 area, Murder Beats, and hanging out with the Migos and shit. There's U.S. shit that happened in Drake's thing before he was famous in Canada.
But he did open the door for a lot of artists. And
yes.
And now when you say I'm from Canada, it's not looked up the way it
if you're a fucking rapper, but then you get shot in 2 weeks anyway, so it's not really that fucking great. Or you have to go to the U.S. at some point. Like, you have to go and do the U.S. thing. So I think it is literally with every fucking art form. And from violin to painting on the wall to sculpture, if your shit's not showing there, you're never gonna show here on a big scale. Like, you might get a little gallery here and a little fucking commemorative fucking bench in a park, but you're never gonna get like that the real celebration of Bryan Adams, Bieber, Drake, whoever else is Canadian that's huge.
But is it possible because they're just
Jim
not
Carrey,
good? Jim Carrey is Canadian.
Norm.
But do you think that maybe they're just not trying to be as good, or just not
It's
good?
just there's not as many people in the country, so it's a smaller market, and it's easier to be controlled by the government, who already controls so much, so they don't. It's not in the government's best interest to make people mega stars here. It's not, because like they have one or two guys. They'll have like right now it's Jerry D is like their mega star. And he's not like a mega star by any means. He's not Chris Rock, but he's selling out massive 1,000-person venues across the country because he follows the rules of what needs to be done, and he's kind of had the experience. He's been on a TV show in Canada for 10 years, whatever, Mr. D. So those are the types of celebrities that can kind of get elevated. People who want to like speak out and be like, yo, fuck it. Like they're like, you want to make it doing that, go to the States, and then maybe we'll respect you after, kind of thing.
Plus, you gain your followers. It's like you gain
There's
your
just
base.
more people in the States. So
that too.
Like,
but
if you have 10,000 followers here, that's like doing the same content in the States, you probably would have 100 because there's just so many more people.
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm going to Florida to do a podcast there too. So I'm going to be going between Canada because the market, yes, is bigger. Plus, on top of everything, there's not a lot of movement here, which is very. I am 100% Canadian. I mean, I do anything for this country. You can't stop me from being Canadian. But it's unfortunate.
I love Canada.
Canada is the best country to live in. Honestly,
right.
the
it
best.
Just sucks for art, but that's dumb because who cares really about art? And the most people just want to go to Costco and have a fire and
But I do
Not
believe
give a shit.
But I do believe in changes. I actually, like I said before, I actually believe that the problem is in the venues, in the production. The biggest problem here is in production.
Well, also the talent pool is they don't
Smaller.
refresh it. They don't refresh. Like, there's people who really, really want to do it when they're like 23, 24, 25, and they're like working really hard to do comedy. And then they're like, well, come when you're older. And it's like, if you don't choose them now at 23, 24, 25, they're going to go, fuck this. I'm going to go get a regular job and kill it at that and make money. I'm not going to struggle so that in 5 years I'm good enough to make $125, you know, at some place. So that's part of the issue. Yeah, the production value. But like Downtown Yuck Yucks is awesome. Like Downtown Yuck
Man, I
Yucks.
saw some of the stuff. Come on, man. I would not go there. No. We're talking
My
about
special was filmed there.
good for you, but it's not one of those places. Like, it has to be a full-scale production for the people that you think the rich people don't laugh. That they would want to go.
A lot of rich people do come to Yuck Yucks, though.
They hide with a mask.
No, like they actually do. Like, I think that's I think the idea that it has to be this huge production, like in the States they have the Improv and stuff like that, and like some of them are like the Improv Theater, and it's a big production, but there's still an aspect to it of like it's a comedy club. Like, you're going there to get shit-faced and laugh. You're not going there to be like, oh, the napkins are nice. Like, you go have that dinner after.
Yeah, but if you create a cheap environment, like most of these places do, cheap bar environment, you're not gonna get good people in there. You're not gonna you're not gonna get people who eventually would want to buy a $25 shirt. You're gonna have people who give you $5.
But you're never going to get everybody with that. Like, it's always going to be a small. Like, you're never going to sell. You know, last night was like 35 people. I sold 2 shirts, so that's like not even that bad. That's like if there was 100 people there, I would have sold 5, and then if there was 200, I would have. So for me, that's fine. And I'm not in like the business of selling shirts or whatever, but I'm just saying that people will see your set and go, "That was fucking awesome," but I don't want to give you any money. That's my point about Canada. Is that people will see even your podcast. It's free, right?
Yeah.
So if you came out tomorrow and you have these listeners who are like, I love your podcast, I love your podcast. If you said tomorrow, I have a paid version now, then you'd be like, oh shit, it's really between 2 and 5% of your audience will actually give money to that. So it's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
Like merchandise and any of that shit. But my point is that
But when you get super
Canada's
big,
lower.
that number goes up.
Right, but Canada has a lower percentage of people that will. We just don't have that mindset. Where in the States they have the mindset of like, I'm going out, spending money. You know, money is fluid there. People hoard money here. Canada's about like we have a lot of hoarders of money in this economy too. Like a lot of old people sitting on fucking tons of shit, tons of money.
Yeah.
And
millionaires.
And some people you don't even know. The Chinese guy picking up bottles is like worth like 16 million or some crap. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stagnant money that you know. So the government has really the most money. At least the way they spend, right? Because they can borrow so much money, and they give money to the CBC and the CTV to put on comedy, and the CBC and the CTV don't want anybody, or they don't seem to want any single person to become famous or to become like this is the star.
Yeah, because you're gonna misrepresent. You're gonna go the opposite because you're gonna make fun of.
But what I think is the mistake that they're making is if CBC came to me or CTV said, I want to fuck it. Let's write a show. What do you got? Let's write a show. And I pitch something. And they're like, let's do it. And then we make it. And then we put it online. And then people get mad that I didn't like lockdown or some bullshit. Or I posted the white square 3 years ago as a joke and that's mean and blah, blah, blah. Say they do that. The show will blow up. Because a million people are going to be like, this is horrible, Ray. And all the other people who never watch CBC or TTV because they're like, it's all shit, all of a sudden go, what's this thing that everybody's mad about? That I'm reading articles about how they're going to cancel this guy's show. Then all of a sudden, everybody's watching it.
Yeah, opposite marketing.
So
yeah.
I think that they're making a huge mistake by trying to appease the people that wouldn't. They're trying to appease the people that would never buy a T-shirt. And the people who would buy T-shirts, just for the purpose of this conversation, I'm using the T-shirt analogy. They want raw shit. They want to see somebody do real comedy and talk about crazy shit, and that's why they give money to American comics who are saying it how they want someone to say it, rather than any Canadian comic. The only Canadian comics that make money are in Quebec, because Quebec gives money to the towns and shit like that to put on productions, big productions, like you're talking about. They fill theaters. Every town has a theater for comedy in Quebec. So comics have a huge thing. They make like $10,000 a show.
Wow.
They're doing, French comedy. They tour around. There's a bunch of, there's 100 different fucking towns to go to that have these huge theaters. And then they all get on TV because they have their own TV there. So they have their own economy. They have their own. Quebec has a good art economy. You could never leave Quebec. And if you get big in Quebec, that's where all in Paris and shit like that, they watch Quebec comedy because they think it's
laughs. Just for laughs is for Quebec.
Right.
It's for these guys are funny.
What, you mean the gags?
Yeah, man.
Right.
They're from Quebec.
Right, but I'm just saying that they have their own shit. Yeah.
Listen, when you invest, that's where you go. Here, nothing.
They don't.
But
the government doesn't care here about art. The Ottawa
venues have their
Ontario government.
But the venues have the opportunities to change things. Like I am working on a couple.
It's expensive.
Listen, if you get good clientele, you can.
And they were just closed for 2 years.
Yeah, that's been
that fucked it up, because I think a lot of those venues were gearing up to be like, we're gonna redo and remodel, and then it was just fuck, and then we don't have anything, so that fucked it up. Like there was a lot of plans that have changed, but I think Yuck Yucks is opening a new comedy club soon in Manitoba, so that'll be pretty cool. I've never been there, so
I've been to Manitoba many times.
Sucks.
In a way, I love Winnipeg. In a way, but in a way, it's just very weird town.
Yeah,
but
Canada's weird. Canada's like the Twilight Zone of America. Really, it just feels like we shouldn't be existing, but we are. We're just this whole population of people that just live here. It's
Canada is moving, Ben. Canada is moving to Florida.
A lot of people are moving to the States, and I'd like to at some point. It's just feels empty here. It feels empty of people who want to actually be Canadian. Like everybody's like, I hate it here. The people who say they hate it here stay, and the people who say they love Canada leave.
Yeah. But I don't know, because of the pandemic.
It's probably like that every country. But
I go to Florida a lot, and for the last year, I have never. Every time I go there, maybe you see somebody from Toronto once in the blue moon. Now it feels like I'm in Toronto. Everywhere you go, I see people, my customers, and everybody.
Is what?
Moving there.
Right.
Everybody sold their houses here and moving to Florida. First of all, it's cheaper, because for an average house here, $1 million. I mean, you can get some pretty decent house for $1 million in the States.
Totally.
A mansion.
Yeah.
Here, a condo now was $700,000 average.
Mm-hmm.
It's insanity. So, and bigger country. Like you said, more opportunity. But I think that this place is mismanaged by the government. Especially the new government, just mismanaged completely. We went from being like the best country in the world to now it's like, where are you from? I'm from.
Yeah, I mean, Canada's still like one of the best countries in the world. Like obviously, like you could, and I think being in Toronto kind of fucks you up to think it's not, because once you leave, you're like, people are doing donuts in the middle of the street, like in small towns, and everybody's free and has guns and doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So I think Toronto, the big cities, are just too like liberal and weird, and the rest of the country is cool, but there's just, we don't have like all the big cities in the States are liberal too, right? Like New York, LA, even like Houston's like more liberal, but like there are cities like Houston and Atlanta where it's like they're not real, like they're liberal, but they're like cool places, like Louisiana, New Orleans. We don't have, Calgary isn't really that cool. You know what I mean? Like Winnipeg isn't that cool. There's nothing going on. Even in Toronto, it's like what last night was Friday night or Saturday night in downtown Toronto. There's nothing going on. You drive around the city, it's not that bumpy. Your club obviously was bumping. But downtown, it's like, eh.
I mean, there's a lot of places that are really bumping it down on Saturday night. King Street.
Yeah, I
King
guess
Street.
so, but not in the way that you'd see in like in a U.S. city where you'd be like, this is really fucking popping off. Here, it's like, okay, this bar has a line, that bar has a line, but like, it doesn't look that fucking. People aren't even having that much fun. They're just like, oh.
Well, now people are being very restrictive with finance. Everybody's kind of
Right.
freaking out, like with inflation.
It's crazy,
It's
everything's more expensive, and you can't do anything, and you
there's
just
nothing-
basically have to be, be poor. Like they're just like, you have to be poor.
Yeah, and it's to say you go to a store, things that the vegetables cost more than meat. Vegetables, it's insane. You buy a couple. I mean, for here, you buy a couple of packages of tomatoes and cucumbers, like you're $30. I'm like, a bag of lettuce, $16. I mean, what are you supposed
Is
to?
that real?
Yeah, man.
$16 for lettuce?
Yeah, it's insane, man. Yeah, it's just listen, as a bar owner, it's tough because you have to pass it on to the client, right?
Right.
And you really don't want to, but what are you gonna do? Everything went up, rent,
Yeah.
and the way it's going down, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that's another reason that nobody gives a shit, but it's still important. I think entertainment will survive because people, when they're really poor, are like, well, what can we do? I guess.
Borrow more money, go party.
Yeah.
Strip joints. Most of the time, through recessions, strip joints always made money. But even they're slowly getting,
Well, people don't have money to begin with, and then they got fucked by the pandemic, and then on top of that, they're like, have this huge inflation, and then the government just sits there and goes, oh yeah, this isn't happening, it's totally normal and everything's fine, and then, oh, we're just going to raise this and raise that, and apparently in 5 years, if they keep raising interest rates, like something like 1 in 4 people will like lose their home or something.
They're going to be a
crazy
collapse.
shit. Like, and then so we're basically 5 years from total like catastrophe, or they're just going to keep it 5 years from catastrophe at all times by constantly borrowing more money or whatever. So they're just delaying the inevitable, that whenever they stop doing that, we're fucked, at least for a bit. And honestly, I think we deserve it. I think a lot of people in this country deserve to just live like shit and be poor for a long time. Why? Because
they made too much money and you didn't?
Because I mean I don't really mean that in like they're evil or anything, but I just mean in the sense of like, if you zoom out on Earth and you like think about us as like these little fucking cells and shit, like there's so many of us that live like shit lives in this fucking world, and then our country has just complained about every little thing and this and that. I mean, not COVID was a big deal, but other things like we complain about and blah blah blah, and it's like, like the woke people too. Like, it's racist here and it's this. And it's like, there's people suffering in other countries and we complain here. So it's kind of makes sense that eventually we're going to have to suffer because we're whiny, and now we're going to have to suffer a bit. And it probably won't even be that bad comparatively. We're not suffering like we're in fucking, Bangladesh in a fucking, living in a shed. You know what I mean? Or a South American favela or something. So it's like, okay, lettuce is $16, but... And I'm not saying that's right, but I'm saying that's the overall mentality of our country. We'll be like, I'll pay the extra money. Because they know...
That's exactly what's happening, too.
Everybody's going to be in debt, which is better still than everybody just getting, like, gang raped in fucking Mumbai.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, bro.
Listen,
Back. We're back.
we went for a little smoke break.
This guy gave me a cracker. I was expecting fucking cream cheese and bagels.
Dude, we're fucking closed. We open till 6. If you would have come a little earlier on time, maybe we would have had pizza.
Really?
No.
I don't eat pizza.
Why are you on a diet? Yeah, you
I'm on
lost
a
15
diet.
pounds.
Yeah.
In how long?
Like a month.
Doing
2
what?
months.
Just cardio?
Weights and cardio.
What happened? There's too much action for you on TV, so you want to see yourself skinnier?
Yeah, I don't
Or your
want
girlfriend giving you problems?
I mean both, but like I'm not trying to. I just was. The pandemic fucked me up, and I didn't really get back on track until like recently.
How much
properly.
weight? How much weight you gained?
Probably like 40 pounds.
Okay, through the pandemic?
Yeah.
The fuck were you doing? Nothing? Like, did you work
Just-
out a little bit?
I was at one point, but then they closed. The gyms were closed for a while, and then I just when they
you can close your mouth also for a while.
But I just was like sad and depressed. I was just like ordering Uber Eats every day, getting fucking drunk and shit.
Everybody, man. I didn't really gain that much weight, but I was going through some fucked up stages. But it did help me with the podcast. It kind of, you know what, I was like, because I started doing the main podcast for myself as the Glikman Show right at the pandemic.
Right.
Because I realized, okay, everybody's sitting at home. Mm-hmm. Nobody has anything to do. Might as well do a podcast. And it actually blew up pretty well all over the country. I was like, okay, so this is a good start.
That's fucking awesome. I mean, my podcast, we started with 10 people, and now we have probably about 1,500 across all the platforms listening on a weekly basis. So,
wow,
it's not that bad. It's not great. I'd like 10,000 really, but.
Do you make any money from?
I make money from Patreon. So my fans who give me money, I make not enough, but $500 a month. It's not bad.
What's the future for you? What do you want to be?
I want to get on Joe Rogan. I want to do theaters, do stadiums, and it'd be nice to have a big Patreon following too, unless I'm making money some other way. But I want to make money, but I want the comedy to just be good, and I'm trying to concentrate on just making it really good, so that when people listen to it, they're like, "Yo, this is actually legit." I'm not just fucking around.
What about movies and TV shows? Are you pushing yourself in that direction?
I don't really have an agent. I think I gotta delete my Twitter before I go get an agent, probably.
Why? How bad is your Twitter?
I don't know. It's pretty bad. I don't know. There's probably terrible things on there from 2 years ago. Just me being like, this is bullshit. Who cares how many people die from COVID?
Oh, you said that? Oh boy.
Well, at the beginning, I was like, what are we like? I knew that not that many people would die.
Did you have COVID?
Have I had it? Probably, yeah.
I mean, I had COVID. Pretty fucked up.
Was it?
I mentioned it before on one of the shows. I mean, I was perfectly fine.
I was sick for like a second.
I was perfectly fine until I went to see my doctor. And when he told me, looks like you have COVID, go get tested. And when I got tested, I'm like, oh shit. It's like, you went.
Then you felt bad?
Then I felt bad. I was okay. I mean, I felt weak. It's a little bit short of the breath, but it's nothing abnormal that I didn't have before, right? As an asthmatic, we go through these stages all the time.
You have asthma?
Yeah. But then the minute they told me you have COVID, man, everything went fucking upside down. But you know what COVID did to me personally? I quit smoking.
We just had a cigarette.
Dude, because I forgot my vape, so I did the one.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I had to do one because I forgot my vape. But I haven't really smoked. I used to smoke a pack and a half a day. Now, this is probably one, and then I had maybe one when I was in Florida, and we're talking about completely once in the blue moon.
Right.
But it's not heavy what it used to be. But
that's good.
Because of COVID, because I knew you're gonna sit at home, you're gonna smoke 2 packs a day.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing to do, right? So.
Listen, you do a lot of jokes about Mr. Zelensky.
Oh yeah.
What's up with that? Did you get a lot of heat for that?
Not really. A lot of people Zelensky is inherently funny because he's just this. I'm Zelensky. I don't know. He's just funny to me that.
I mean, he's his background.
He's like a comedian and all this shit, and
he's a comedian.
Yeah, and he made a show about him being prime president, and now he's president, and it's very weird, and now he's at war, and everybody's supposed to care about him, and and he has this fucking Ukrainian accent, and he has shaking hands with Nancy Pelosi. Hello, Nancy. And you want to eat some chicken Kiev? So he's just, I don't know. I just find him funny because I like doing those dubs of the videos of they'll post a video of him doing some stupid shit like with Trudeau when she was giving Trudeau the award to give to the dog and shit like that. And I'm dubbing over that he'll give the little doggy the award. And Trudeau's like, it's the doggy. It's just, these people are just caricatures of themselves, really. Trudeau, they're all just hilarious, in my opinion. They're fucking hilarious.
Well, Zelensky is a professional comedian. He's
a Ukrainian comedian, which that's more like a clown to me. That's more like
Listen, but he inherited some crazy timing. I mean,
He's funny. Like, I actually watched some of his show, which I found funny that they put it on Netflix once he was at war. They're like,
yeah, well, that's they have no choice.
yeah. So
He's a popular character.
now he's finally getting the fame he deserved, wanted.
I think eventually he's going to get the Nobel Prize. My opinion.
Maybe. I don't know.
For what he has done for his country. He's looking at a Nobel Prize.
Yeah, it's a weird war. Like, why don't they just blow up where he lives and end it? I mean,
I don't think it's that easy, but just in general, I mean, I look at it. This, I would have never in a million years would imagine that Russia and Ukraine would be at war. Like, for me, still till this day, it's like, wow, how could that even be possible? You know. But when you make fun of him, like,
I mean, they invaded Ukraine in 2014 too, so it didn't feel totally impossible. And they've been at war in the Donetsk.
It was very mild compared to this like full scale invasion. Like, this is bad, and there's so many Ukrainians live in Canada. You know, it's 1.2 million.
Mm-hmm. It's like the biggest Ukrainian population outside of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you get harassed for making those jokes?
No, I think Ukrainians think it's fun. I mean, I'm not like, what am I saying, really? I'm just making fun of the whole thing. And the reality is that the States is, like, I mean, using Ukraine to, like, money launder, right? Like, that's kind of what they do.
I think it's the States
all the
at
Western
war
countries.
with Russia on the territory of Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a proxy war. And the people predicted this. They said that there's not going to be world wars. There's just going to be proxy wars, like Russia, Ukraine, and, like, you know, other wars in Syria and shit like that. Like, they're not going to actually be U.S. soil or European soil. I mean, it is Europe, but they're not going to drop bombs on fucking Poland. I mean, if they did, it would be fucked, and then we'd be at world war. But I don't think that's going to happen because they got to keep the economy. And even if it did happen, like, nobody would want to fight in it from our side because we'd be like,
well, we're already fighting it. We were helping. We were giving you so much money and weapons. I mean,
right. But like the actual population of Canada wouldn't want to like go and die for this shit. They wouldn't.
I think
not like in the old days where they're like, sign me up. I'm 16 years old. I'm gonna lie and say I'm 18, and I want to go to the front so I can have fun with the boys. It's not gonna happen nowadays. People would be like, yo, I'm not fucking going to the Ukraine to die of some fucking hydrogen bomb.
But there are some Canadians who went.
Yeah, like some crazy fucking people who were about to shoot up a school, and they were like, maybe I'll just go here instead.
Man, what's up with that? I mean, so many school shootings right now. Holy crap! Like,
it's mental illness.
The States is just insane. Every freaking weekend, somebody goes into a school, shoots somebody.
People are just really sick there, and part of it's because their culture's kind of dark, and that's just part of their society. It's fucked up. People, like, you can just die there going to the grocery store or at school. That's just what it is.
Listen, who are your top 3 comedians right now in Canada?
In Canada?
Yeah. Okay, let's say Toronto. Okay.
Well, my boy Armin, our Bobby, he's killing it. He's kind of like my opener right now. He's my mentee. I'm mentoring him. And who else is really funny in the city?
What about Nima?
Nima? Yeah, I mean he's got a lot of online stuff. His stand-up is like pretty good.
Have you seen his stand-up?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw he was on Gary V's.
Yeah, he's like super ambitious with his online shit, and he's just killing it with that stuff. And like a lot of that, I see that, and I'm like, you know, I don't want to do that. Like a lot of it, you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to be an influence. Like I'm a comedian. I'm not like an influencer really. And I get like I think there's a certain mystique that like I'm trying to build my audience over time. Like I could, you know, if I just made a video every day and made fun of, I don't want to really just make fun of local shit and, you know, build my audience that way because, you know, I think people will come to me, especially now that I have my special out. I'm going to post tons of stand-up clips, and that's bringing in a whole new wave of, you know, like I don't need to be 100,000 right now guy. I'd like to be a 25,000 to 30,000 on Instagram kind of guy right now. But Nima really he did pave the way in a lot of ways for Canadian comics to like be like, you can build an online presence and then people will come see your stand-up. So Nima's killing it, and yeah, big ups to Nima. I have a lot of respect for the guy. But yeah, so I guess he's definitely in the like de facto top 3 of comics who are just being successful. But he's not doing, you know, theaters or anything like that yet, which he probably will be soon. I think he's opening for people in theaters, but
I think he's going to get big when he gets to the States.
Yeah. So, you know, but the States is different too, right? Like Canada wants more of a Nima because, like we talked about outside, like people are in their own groups. Like Persians want to support Persians, right? But I'm not really. Jews don't really identify with me that much, where they're like, he's what, you know, and white people don't really identify with me that much.
For $25, that's why they don't want to identify with you.
Yeah, well, I'm supposed to make $2 a shirt? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Honestly, the Jews would buy the shirt because they'd be like, yeah, I'll buy it. It's not a big deal. $25. I'm supporting a comedian. It's more the fucking mungie cakes that are like, oh, good show, but yeah, I'm not paying any more money. We got to go home. Like, those
the
are the
beer
people.
was $7 enough.
But yeah, I got some. When's this drop? When's this?
Oh, this is what, 3-4 days? Yeah, a week.
4 days.
About less than a week.
So this Saturday, I'm in Caledonia. If you have any fans out in Hamilton Way, Caledonia is near there at the Legion Hall. I have a link in my bio for that. July 9th. July 16th, I'm doing St. Thomas show. That's also a link in my bio or on my website. And July 20th, I'm doing a show at the Royal Comedy Theatre. It is a diaper party, so you can bring like $30 worth of diapers and get in for free. Because I'm having a child. So yeah, so we're doing it like that. And if you're a fan of my special and shit like that, I'm doing all new material. And July 28th, I'm doing Woodstock at a brewery. I don't know. Yeah, that's going to be on my website too.
Can you talk about
like
your special? What is it all about?
So my comedy special just came out. It's 39 minutes, and it's stand-up comedy that I did at Yuck Yucks in Toronto. I headlined for a weekend, so I decided to hire a bit of a crew, and we did a full recording. Like basically, it's an album. It's gonna come out as an album, but right now it's a free special on YouTube, so you can watch it just like you'd watch any other comedy special on Netflix, but it's on YouTube for free. And yeah, please go watch it, share with your friends, comment on it, and patrons get a second version of it because there was 2 tapings, but the camera kind of fucked up in one of them. So there's the audio's there and it's really good. So there's a second version, and people who sign up for my Patreon, it's $5 a month, and basically you get a bonus podcast every week, totally uncensored, plus all kinds of other shit that I post that I wouldn't post on social media because it's just too fucked up or it's too funny or whatever. So yeah,
Ben,
thanks for having me here, dude.
Thanks for coming by. Cheers to you, man. I've been doing this long enough to kind of see who somebody has a potential and has a future. You know, when I first time saw
2 years you've been doing this.
No, I've been doing production for way longer. Just we would do it for Russian more. Like I would do some reality shows. I've been doing this for a while.
Oh, cool.
But I think that you have a huge future ahead, and I want to see you all the way up, and for you to sell a shitload of shirts. But I ain't paying $25, man. Fuck that, man.
How much you pay for a fucking T-shirt?
I'm gonna get it for you for free today, but I ain't paying. When you become super famous,
you should pay me. You should pay me for being on this fucking podcast in the middle of nowhere, fucking Russian area.
Dude,
scary
I fucking waited. Listen,
fucking ridiculous. Trust me, it was very busy last night. There's like a shotgun shell right there. I don't know what that is.
Yes, it is. This.
It's not. It's.
But I do want to see you here again.
I'd love to come back
when you get even more famous. Hopefully, this will be big for all of us.
Hell yeah!
But regardless, it was a pleasure having you. You're
Thanks,
one
man.
crazy fucked up guy, you know. But do me a favor next time.
What? Show up early?
Don't ever come late to my show.
Your fans must think you're like the scary guy. This guy like laughed. I showed up with music blasting, like the radio playing, just like white people music. He smiled, laughed. We had a cigarette. He's fine. Doesn't care. He was happy I was late.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man. Thank you for having me.
Good luck on your special.
Thank you. Share it. Share it with your friends.
Yo, G-Man from the G Show. Let's talk about life and what we know. You wanna have a seat with the top dog? Be ready to get down with the real talk. All jokes aside, welcome to the G-Man Show.